Going out into the backcountry with the goal of building my own shelter takes camping to a whole new level. In this episode, I will tell you about how I construct my absolute favorite snow shelter, the snow cave. I am warm and cozy inside and barely aware of any weather outside as I sleep. But sometimes snow caves do not work out as well as we might like, because there are some risks and hazards that you should be aware of. Pause now to read this full disclaimer. This presentation will continue in only just a few seconds. Now that you have closely read all of that, you have plenty of reasons why you should develop your snow camping skills through the snow camping training course offered by snowcamping.org. There are a number of tools I use to construct snow caves, and the shovel is the most important single item. I use the Lifeline snow shovel because it is lightweight, available in my local sporting goods store, and economical at about $20. There are also plastic shovels that are even lighter than the aluminum shovels, and I know many women who prefer plastic to reduce pack weight. I have tried and do not use a snow saw while digging a snow cave. I found that cutting blocks with the saw caused me to sweat excessively and greatly added to arm and shoulder fatigue because of the angles while laying down. Plus, I still had to use the snow shovel after the saw to pop blocks out of the walls. Don't get me wrong, I love the Yangfang snow saw, and I think every group should have several of them. I am just simply much faster using the shovel as my only digging tool for the snow conditions found in the Sierra Nevadas. I also use an inexpensive tarp to drag snow out of the cave and to cover my entrance, at approximately $3 for this blue tarp and $5 for this camo tarp. Both are 6 feet by 8 feet in size. A 6'8" tarp is also large enough to cover the hole in the ceiling of this collapsed snow cave, converting it into a trench shelter. I consider a tarp as a tool during construction and as gear for covering my cave entrance and adding warmth. Long-cuffed, loose-fitting chemical gloves at approximately $7 should have an inner liner, be loose-fitting to allow space between your skin and the glove, and can even be loose enough to accommodate glove liners if you so choose. They are very thick, keep your hands warm and dry, and tuck into the sleeves of your waterproof jacket. Should the thin cotton liner get wet, dry the gloves by putting them over trekking pole handles for the evening. They may freeze, but I have never not found them to be dry by morning. Knee pads with Velcro straps are my secret weapon to the 1-hour snow cave build time. They cost approximately $5. I wear them under my pants to ensure the knee pads stay in place while I belly crawl in and out of a snow cave under construction. I strap them on over my pants while I make other snow structures like a snow kitchen or trench shelter because I do not wear them the entire time with those particular structures. In addition to these 4 items I've explained, waterproof outer layers are a must for keeping yourself dry from melting snow while digging a snow cave. Consider using a hood or a large hat to keep snow from going down the back of your neck. Choosing a cave site is just like choosing any other shelter site, with the exception that you want some slope. You can dig a cave in a completely flat snowfield, but it is so much more work to remove the snow. In that case, I would build a snow trench. Choose a site free of widowmakers overhead, outside the drip line of major trees, and with some slope to aid in snow removal. This shot is the flattest location I have ever built a cave in. Now that I've found my cave site, I pull out my shovel. Recall, I no longer use a snow saw to cut blocks. I cut blocks with a shovel by stabbing into the snow on a side, the top, the other side, and lastly at the bottom to create a square. I finish at the bottom because when I move the shovel up and down, I can pop out the block. Blocks are about the size of the snow shovel's head and never perfectly square like the animation shows. In fact, the animation also makes the up and down motion look like side to side. Use an up and down motion in the field. Chopping blocks saves me time and energy because the snow is more densely compacted when you move it in a block versus digging it out in smaller quantities and allowing it to fluff up and gain volume. Keep in mind, you are on your side, belly, or knees while chopping blocks. A great pre-trip exercise to get you ready would be the various yoga plank poses to strengthen your core. This is the outside of a completed cave. I always cover my cave entrance with a tarp whenever there is weather. It gives me an easy way to push in and out through any accumulated snow, and it keeps the wind out. I leave gaps at the edges so I'm not completely sealed in and have a little fresh air. I secure the tarp with 2 snow stakes above the cave's entrance. My sleeping bag is inside the green bivy sack. I always use a bivy inside the cave so my bag cannot get wet by rubbing against the snow. I will cover my full sleeping system in a separate video. Smooth out any sharp-edged tool marks. I recall one of these edges dripped on me my first night, and I smoothed each of these points out before my second night. I use the backs of my fingers while wearing the chemical gloves tucked into my waterproof shell to rub and round down any tool marks. This is a great example of a ceiling rubbed free of tool marks to prevent dripping. Note the ceiling interior appears to have already iced up, which is common on the inside of a snow cave because of your body heat. The most common snow caves are singles, but doubles are a great way to share the experience and divvy up the work. The second person can pull the tarp with snow piled on it out of the cave and dump all the snow outside. The entry tunnel to your cave should be just large enough so you do not rub against the sides. Here, I'm buttoned up for wind while I'm away from the cave. Note that I throw my tarp over the entire entrance so I can easily cast snow to the sides of the entrance before I enter. This cave is buttoned up and ready for snow while I'm away from the cave. This is a good shot showing the gradual slope of the entire area where I had to move all the snow coming out of the cave. Because of the flat area, I had to drag my tarp full of snow to the pile you see here. It was a lot of extra work. At this point in the trip, there's about 3 inches of fresh snow in the tree above, which, upon closer look, proves my point about staying outside the drip line of large trees. Look at these snow bombs that are locked and loaded. They can easily punch a hole in your snow cave or give you a headache. And my trail to my cave keeps me well away from these snow bombs. Let's go over some cross sections looking down and at the side of how I always seem to build my snow caves. I always lay out my cave in the shape of a T. I do this because I tend to dig a narrower sleeping chamber, and I do not have to dig as far into the hillside. And by not having to dig as far into the hillside, I tend not to encounter as many treetops or branches in the T configuration towards the back of my snow cave. I also look for a minimum slope so blocks roll down and away from my entrance as I dig my cave. Let's take a closer look at the side profile. I said earlier that I cover the cave entrance with a tarp. I do leave small gaps on the sides so I get a little ventilation. Now looking at the profile, you will see that this is not the textbook design as the sleeping area is not elevated above the entrance. That is the point of the tarp. It's a cheat. So what does an elevated area look like? Oops, there's a problem here, but it's easily remedied. Simply extend the entry tunnel and maybe you'll get a little Christmas tree, but this profile still needs a little more work. Now we're getting somewhere. I have seen many snow caves constructed in this manner. This shot is a perfect example. It's a comfortable cave with a small opening and a backpack served as the door. But this is still not textbook. In a textbook snow cave, your sleeping area will be elevated above your entry to trap heat. So let's turn this into a textbook snow cave. Raised sleeping area complete. Finish the textbook picture by adding a vent hole into the sleeping chamber near the top and by closing off the entrance with your backpack. As you can see from the overlay, I prefer the red area with less work and using a tarp so I can build my cave in about an hour. Icy snow conditions can add about an extra 30 minutes, but the key to building a cave in an hour is 1. Being challenged to do so. I am challenging all of you now, as I was once challenged. 2. Using a tarp to cover the entry to the smaller red cave. And 3. Using my secret weapon so my knees do not get cold while I dig for an hour straight. I always intend to build a raised sleeping area, but I end up wanting to get things done so I can get back to the group's snow kitchen construction. The more sugary the snow, the larger I make my cave entry tunnel because sugary snow showers down at the slightest of touches. If you find yourself in more of a survival situation, and especially with minimal gear, make your cave entrance as small and as low as possible. Use the chopped blocks from building the cave to build a rough wall to block wind from the cave's entrance. Remember, I use a tarp as a door to keep snow and wind out of my larger cave entrance. This is a great hillside cave site for the leisure cave I describe. Look at all my chopped blocks that easily roll down the slope away from the mouth of the cave. To the right, notice someone stomped out a cave site but did not build there. Stomping will reinforce your roof and clearly identify your cave's location to others until it is covered by fresh snowfall. Be mindful to walk around any stomped areas as there may be something below. Personally, I have never stomped out my cave sites due to the abundant Sierra cement snow conditions. This is the sleeping chamber profile as seen from the front. As my little green friend will show, I always dig more head clearance on the left side of my sleeping chamber because my sleeping bag has a right side zipper. This makes getting in and out of my bag a little easier by taking advantage of the extra space from my entry tunnel. Demolish all snow structures, especially caves, before you break camp. Please do not leave behind any booby traps for unsuspecting passers-by to fall into. On the right, you can see where I dug more head clearance as the roof thickness changes from 12 inches to 18 inches thick. Finally, here is where you can really see the cave built outside the tree's drip line. I was probably directly under the snow bombs for this shot. With demolition complete, you may now hike out. Please like the video if you found any of this information useful. Thank you for watching, and may you all build great snow caves.